going to go ahead and get started. Hello, everybody. I'm really excited today. I got a very special guest by the name of Josh Snyder. Josh, thank you for joining me today.
Pleasure to be here.
Yes. So just a quick introduction. Josh is a Class A contractor.
Yes.
An investor.
Yes.
You were previously in finance.
I was a finance background in college, so a major in college.
Nice.
I never really worked in finance. I've pretty much been in construction, remodeling, my entire career.
Amazing. Awesome. And so Josh is the owner of Dwell Build, and if you don't mind sharing with the audience.
Yeah, sure. So Dwell Build is a Class A construction firm. Our office is in McLean. We service Northern Virginia, DC, and Maryland as well. And we specialize in presale renovations, so we work with agents like Kevin to provide renovations to homes before they go on the market with the goal of selling them for maximum value, helping homeowners extract as much equity as possible out of their properties. We also build some houses both on custom clients and also on spec. We invest in single-family homes, remodeling and then reselling them. But pretty much anything that has to do with construction around residential in the DMV market, we're involved in.
Nice. Okay. Well, so yes, what are you seeing in the market right now? You said that you're building a few homes. You've got several projects. So if you want to share with the audience, like how many projects you've got going on, kind of give them an idea on where they are and what you're seeing.
Yeah, sure. So right now we've got about 7 properties that we actually own that we've purchased and we are building on spec to be resold. We've got about another 6 or 7 custom projects. 2 of those are custom, full new construction properties. The other ones we've got 2 additions, one in Alexandria, one in McLean, and the others are just interior remodels. And we're actually building an ADU for a client in Arlington right now.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. You know what? Maybe we should talk about that too. But just so for those of you in the audience who are wondering what a spec home is a home that you've already got the plans for. You've already got the finishes selected, everything. You're building it. You're choosing everything. It's a new build, but it's not like custom to where you're working with the client and choosing the finishes and stuff like that.
We are building the home on speculation that we were going to find a buyer for it once it is complete and put on the market.
100%.
And I would say our 3 most recent spec projects have all been sold prior to going on the market. So buyers were already out there, whether it was with agents that we knew and knew about the project or just saw the property, neighbor was walking by, have all been sold before we actually got to market. So maybe that's indicative a little bit of the market currently that we're in. Okay,
so what are you seeing in the market today?
I am seeing it a little bit of a tale of 2 markets. Mm-hmm. So properties that are in, A locations in A condition and priced appropriately are moving very quickly. And then on the flip side, properties that aren't really updated, maybe aren't in as good of locations, and if they're not updated or at least renovated to a certain level, they're just sitting. You're seeing price reductions. So I'm seeing a little bit of a tale of 2 markets, which means for folks who are thinking about selling, pre-sale renovations now more than maybe a couple of years ago when the market was super hot are something that clients should be looking into. They might need to do them in order to move their property. But again, every property, how's the market? If somebody were to ask me, it depends, right? Where's your house at? What kind of condition is it in? But I definitely see I feel comfortable making the general statement that buyers right now they don't want to do projects.
None of them do. No. Everyone, sellers think, oh, I'm just going to sell it as is. I'll put it on the market. It'll be a fix and flip. But that's like nobody, like, especially in Northern Virginia, man, they don't have the times or the attention span, the time to go in and buy a house. They want to buy something move in ready that they can move into right away.
And I hear sellers all the time say like, well, I don't know what the next buyer's going to want, right?
I hear that too. Yes.
I don't know what color they're gonna want to paint it. I don't know if they're gonna want the kitchen this way, or they're gonna want the cabinet color, or whatever it is. And the truth is, most people have, generally similar tastes, and a lot of, this might sound wrong, but like, you almost need to tell buyers what they want, right? Like, people don't really know. And the other thing that I'm seeing now that I don't think is going to change, just like everything in the current economy, is everything's expensive. So, 4 or 5 years ago, when you used to be able to remodel a kitchen for 40, 50,000, it's now double that, right? So like, clients that are thinking about buying a house to do renovation work, I see a lot of times get sticker shock because of how expensive everything has gotten.
100%, and it only gets more expensive.
It's not going down.
It's never going down.
Nothing's going back down.
That's right. So, with that being said, how would you like if when you go and see a homeowner that is wanting to put their house on the market, like, what would you recommend as far as projects that you can do that will give them the absolute best return for their money? I mean, is it a bathroom? Is it a kitchen? Is it both? And like, if you can also help out by saying, like, for a kitchen, like, how long does it take for a full kitchen renovation to pay off? You know what I mean? Like, do you do one at 10 years? Do you do one when the kitchen's 15 years old?
Well, I mean, it depends is the answer. Mm-hmm. But to break it down, I would say, like, do you do it at 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? That's really just, specific to the homeowner, right? Do you want a new kitchen right now? Can you wait on it? But when you're talking about pre-sale work, what are we typically doing or seeing, and what's delivering the best results? There's some obvious items that pretty much every pre-sale project that we do has to be done. The house has to be repainted, is kind of your top level, or low, easy hanging fruit that you're going to do. Flooring, whether that's refinishing hardwoods, replacing carpet, soap cleaning carpet, putting new LVP in the basement, replacing, and then like a lot of easy cosmetic items, new light fixtures, replacing door hardware. When it comes to bathrooms, we do a lot of full remodels of bathrooms, but if the bathroom is not like in total disrepair, we're replacing the vanity, we're glazing the tile, we're replacing the plumbing fixtures, replacing the lighting fixtures, new mirror, new toilet. And then in the kitchen, we span everything from full remodels to just cosmetic upgrades. So in the kitchen, that means new appliance packages, new countertops, maybe painting the cabinetry, new door hardware. So there's like lots of little things that we can do that aren't crazy expensive, when compiled with a bunch of other little things, really make a big improvement. A lot of times though, what I see is like clients not kind of willing to go far enough. So, a lot of times sellers will have like an arbitrary number of like $20,000, right? And it's like, where did you come up with that number? That's what I'm comfortable with. Well, a lot of times it's like, you might as well not do even 20,000 because you really need to do 50,000 in order to extract the value out of the property fully. So it really depends, and all the times our conversations and our determinations of scopes of work include the agent selling the property, because we don't do projects directly for homeowners without agents involved. And so it's working with the agent to understand the market specifically for where that property is located, and work collaboratively to develop a scope of work that's going to make the most sense and is going to deliver a good return. In today's market, things have changed a bit, where depending on the product that you're selling, like if it's a condo, for example, because the condo market's been so kind of soft and flat for a while, the conversation has transferred from what is the ROI going to be on these renovations or the scope of work, to we have to do the scope of work of these renovations or else your property's not going to sell, because there's so much competition in the condo market right now. So it really depends on where the property's located, the current condition, but we like to do a walkthrough with agent and homeowner to talk collaboratively about, all right, here are our options. We put together a nice detailed proposal with line item pricing, present that to the agent and the seller. And we haven't really talked about it yet, but we do offer the opportunity to defer payment. So sellers, as long as they have equity in their property, can do these renovations, benefit from the investment in their property without actually having to make that investment themselves. and
Right.
then funds are paid back at the time the property is sold.
So if you've inherited a property, if you're an in-state owner or an out-of-state owner, you're an empty nester, and you know you're going to sell the property, right? And you don't want to deal with the headaches of hiring and getting the pricing for all the contractors, the material. That's where you step in.
So we step in. Yeah, we're able to provide value when the scope of work is large enough. So like for really small scopes, we're not frankly the best option for sellers. If you just need the house painted and everything else is beautiful, we would tell you go hire a painting company and have them just paint the house. But when you have scopes that encompass 5, 6, 7 different items: flooring, painting, kitchen remodel, bathroom remodel, roofing, landscaping, you know, all these different things, that's where we're able to provide a lot of value. We put everything under one roof and we take care of everything. We're the licensed contractor, we have the designer that's making all the selections, so it's very much a turnkey service. So sellers and agents can bring us in, we develop a scope of work, it's very detailed, there's no ambiguity in terms of, oh, I thought this was going to be done, it was going to cost this. No, we have a contract amount with detailed pricing, and we'll do everything, give you a timeline on when the property is going to be ready to go, you know, turn back over to the agent, list it, and go on the market.
Nice. So you had mentioned that, small projects like painting. Like, what would be the smallest project? Like what is too small?
Yeah. So we tell people that we have a soft minimum of 25,000.
Okay.
We use the term soft because there's a little bit of flexibility,
Mm-hmm.
but we are not handymen. So if you have a toilet or one light fixture that needs swapped out, that's not for us. So 25,000 is kind of the minimum of what we're willing to handle.
So, and just to kind of give an idea, how much work is 25,000? Is that, well, you said paint is, you wouldn't do the paint, right? So it would be
depends.
like,
Is it a 10,000 square foot house?
Right.
You know, I mean, is it a 1,500 square foot condo? Because if it's that, then yeah, you're not going to spend $25,000 painting that. So it really depends. Is it just one thing? Do you just need flooring redone in one room and one room painted, for example? That's going to be too small of a scope for us to handle. It's just hard for us to provide value, is what we found. And frankly, there's better pricing out there for people when they're just trying to handle one scope. And home sellers can kind of handle that, to get their house painted or just replace the flooring. It's when you have like larger scopes of work that homeowners get overwhelmed, you need a contractor, and so you need somebody who's reliable. And I think we've proven that. We've done, I don't know how many hundreds of Presale Renos projects we've done, but we also just come from an investment background, so we're able to evaluate properties, evaluate the market, and really help sellers and their agents determine what scopes will make sense, what they should do and what they shouldn't do. And we're very open and honest with people. We have a lot of projects where we'll tell them, hey, if you're not willing to spend or do a certain amount, or maybe even if you did this, it's not going to make sense, just go on the market as is.
yeah, speaking of that, what renovations don't make sense and don't increase the value of a property?
What don't make, I'm trying to think of some obvious ones that I've had people ask to do. It's not like one thing. A lot of times it's like something maybe isn't that bad, right? Where it's like, yeah, it would be nice if, instead of hollow core doors, you had solid core doors throughout the house.
Change your front pillars in the front of the house.
Yeah, yes, that would be a nice to have, but is a seller gonna be willing to pay you more money for that? Probably not. Now, if the doors have holes in them, right, or something like that, then it's like, okay, yeah, we need to replace the doors in your house. You don't have a choice on this. So a lot of times it comes down to like, what is the existing level of, or existing condition, and then making a determination from there. But you see people, I went into a house, it's kind of going off the cusp, but I went into a house in McLean about a week ago that they were gonna put on the market, and they were prepping drywall. So they were taking down curtains off the windows, and they were prepping the holes from there, but they weren't going to paint the house. So it's like they were doing the drywall prep work, but they weren't going to paint. And it's like, why would you, So that's a great example of repairs that aren't gonna, that was just stupidity, but I guess it was an easy example.
Right. What would you say some of the biggest homeowner mistakes with hiring a contractor are?
I think, obviously you see there's a bit of an underbelly to the residential contracting world,
Okay,
right? There's
yep.
a lot of guys who are just fly by night.
Mm-hmm.
So, the obvious things, make sure your contractor's licensed, make sure they're insured, make sure you get some references. But even outside of that, I would say like different contractors are good for different things, right? So I would say we do span quite a quite a big spectrum in terms of scopes that we can perform. But like, if you or somebody else called me and said, "Hey, I've got a client that wants to build like a $5 million Uber custom house," I would say I'm probably not the guy for that, right? I've built new houses and I can build a very nice house, but like, if you want super high end custom, that's probably not. We're not like the right contractor. I would push you towards somebody else to do that scope. So I guess what I'm trying to say with that example is, find a contractor who's performed the scope of work that you need done, or like has done very similar to that, and you don't want to be the first, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right.
You don't want to be the first new build that the guy does with you. You want somebody who's done it before.
Right. And okay. What about, so I have shown homes where the listing itself, it shows 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, right? And you get out to the house and the basement's finished. There's a full bathroom in the basement, so the house is actually 5 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. They added the 5th bedroom to the basement. So what would you say about skipping permits and people that skip permits and how it actually hurts them instead of helps them?
So I think in that case, you're saying skipping the permit to put an egress maybe in the bedroom in the basement to make it like a legal.
Correct.
Okay. So in that example, it's a determination of like, do we need the extra bedroom like in order to meet the market and comp out where we want to sell this house. For a basement bedroom, I would say it is not always worth it to actually put the proper egress in, right? So yeah, I mean, the agent and home seller can say like 5 bedrooms. The reality is you don't have the egress, you're not a bedroom in the basement.
Correct.
For all intents and purposes, that room 99% of the time gets used as a bedroom. So does it have an effect on the sale of the home? I would say a lot of times it doesn't, because it's like, all right, I know this is an illegal bedroom, and that is something also that new buyer can do if they want. But what are the issues of not doing permanent work? I mean, I've seen the gauntlet of nobody says anything to you get caught, it kills a home sale, and you've got to retroactively pull permits.
Yes.
We are at the state. We will not do unpermitted work if a permit is needed, especially for something like a basement bedroom and putting an egress in. Then
it's a big job.
It's a big job. No problem. We'll go ahead and do it. But people a lot of times don't realize, like, going through the process of pulling the permit, it costs them money, but more so it costs time. So that's why we try to tell sellers and agents, if you're thinking about doing pre-sale work, don't call us the week before you want the work to start. Call us a couple months in advance, because it gives us more time to plan things out. If we need permits, it won't affect the timeline.
Right on. So we're getting into the era of AI, smart homes, energy efficiency. Like, we've seen a lot of that. What are some really cool add-ons that people could add to their house that would be energy efficient, maybe tax savings? What are some really cool features as far as appliances and stuff that you are possibly putting in the homes that you're seeing?
That I'm actually seeing people do?
Mm-hmm.
Not much.
Not much. Uh-huh.
No, I would say that I'm not seeing the market be willing to pay a premium for. Well, I mean, if we're doing, if we're talking about like prepping houses to sell, new insulation in the walls really isn't an option. You have to rip drywall out. Additional insulation in the attic. I would say if the minimum is met, people are not doing that. That's something that buyers might be doing after the fact. Adding like smart home features like, light fixtures or outlets that can be controlled from your phone. I'm not seeing sellers do that proactively. Adding solar panels, definitely not. That's something that maybe buyers are doing after they purchase the property. But I guess maybe not the answer you were expecting. But
Right, no.
The reality is I'm not seeing sellers add additional efficiency features to their homes prior to putting them on the market, because I'm not seeing at least buyers be willing to pay a premium for those features.
Right on. So we have a new construction in Montrose, and one of the things I didn't mention earlier when we were talking about the new build down there is we're putting in smart toilets. Okay, they've bidets. I mean, they spray perfume.
They're expensive.
They're expensive, right?
Yeah,
but it's not something that you see. But I thought it was really cool, and I've never even seen that before. But
I would say I might see that. Like, I'm surprised that your builder down in Montrose is adding that, given the price point of that property. You know, in Arlington, McLean, Great Falls, like higher price points. You're
not seeing that in even those homes, huh?
Not really. I think once you're getting to maybe like, a certain price point, which I don't know that exact number, 4.5, 5 million plus, then maybe you're seeing that, but not outside of that.
Okay, so if somebody were to call me and say, Kevin, I have a house, I live out here in California, I got this property that I've been renting in Arlington for the past 15 years, and I'm ready to sell it. And I've got another home that I want to purchase here in California and blah, blah, blah. Walk us through, like, if somebody were to contact me to list their house, but they know that they need to get the home updated, they need the renovations done. Walk me through how you handle that.
Sure.
From beginning to end.
Okay, so it's in Arlington, so just using your example.
Okay.
It would start with a phone call. You would call us and say, hey, this is what I have. And I would say, okay, if we're being very specific and it's in Arlington, and if it's in North Arlington, I would say what kind of condition it is, because if it's in pretty beat up shape and it's a smaller house, that house might be being sold for a lot value, just given
100%. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to ask about that too. But
assuming it's not that situation where the house is being sold for, it's a tear down essentially. We are what we're trying to discuss get to the point of on that initial phone call is, what is the condition of the house? What is the scope of work to bring it up to optimal condition? What are those prices? So what I'm trying to determine is the spread. What's the spread between the as-is value to the after repair value? And I'm looking at that delta. And what I typically see is sellers needing to spend somewhere between 40 to 60% of that delta. So let's say it's $100,000 difference. The house is worth $1 million as is. It's worth $1.1 if we do reno work. So we can make $100,000 difference. I'm initially saying, you probably should be looking to spend between 40 to 60 grand. If you spend less than 40, you're probably not doing enough. If you spend more than 60, you're not getting enough value extraction. Yeah, so it's not worth it. And then I'm saying, so talk to me about high level. What's the scope? And if you're like, oh, it's a complete disarray. It needs gutted. It needs all this. Then I'm going to say, well, that's going to cost more than $100,000, and that's our spread. You should sell that house as is. There's no reason for us to even come out and give you pricing if that's the condition and the reality of the numbers. If you say, it's not bad, it needs painting, it needs some floors, it needs standard work, okay, that's probably a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, maybe $50,000 scope. Yeah, we should come out and look at it. So we're scheduling a meeting. We're coming out. We're meeting with you. If seller is not in California and they're in Virginia, then we want them at the meeting also. We're walking through together. It's going to take an hour, 2 hours. We're doing all of our data collection, and then in about 48, 72 hours, we're going to turn around a proposal to you and the seller. Here's the pricing for what we have. Let's talk through it. We usually hop on a call after that, 3 of us, to talk through scope of work, determine what does or doesn't make sense, and from there we're starting. If seller wants to go forward with the project, we're going to put together all the paperwork that needs to be put together, which is very different if they're deferring payment versus they're not. So we have a lot of sellers that will defer payment.
Okay.
But we have a lot of sellers also that will just pay for the money out.
Pay outright.
Yeah,
pay for it up front.
They'll pay. Yeah, I mean, it's not like upfront, but it's over a progress schedule, the same you would with any contractor performing work.
Yeah. So right on. Let me think.
So just to touch on a little bit, when we defer payment, it is fairly different. We charge some additional fees because we are essentially
Using your money
yeah.
and you're tying your own money
So
up.
we charge a 5% fee on
Okay.
the scope of work, and we do record. The big thing is that we record a deed of trust on the property. So same thing that a mortgage company records on title.
100%. So you get your money back at the closing table.
You
get that check.
You basically can't close unless we. Same thing with a mortgage company unless we get paid off.
100%. When what now we've talked about there was a home that I had in Caroline County that I talked to you about. It was an old farmhouse, and then it was a very unique property. It had several barns. I mean, it was a gorgeous property. But I had talked about, I don't know if you remember the conversation, about like replacing carpet, painting, doing some work. But then you had mentioned that with having comps, you probably wouldn't have done the job because you would want to make sure that you got your money back, right? So what jobs wouldn't you take?
Well, I mean, assuming the project meets the minimum threshold of 25K, or thereabouts. The only other thing that would really not kick us out from a job is if the property didn't have enough equity. So when we look at a project, we want to make sure that they have at least 20%. I'm sorry, at least 80% equity of the. I'm sorry, 20. The way you do the calculation is 80%. 20% equity in the property based on the exit price, the outside, not the as is, but the ARV. So if a property was going to sell for $1 million, but they owed 900 on it, they wouldn't have enough equity. We would do the project and be paid up front, but we would not defer payment on that.
100%.
The other things that might disqualify a project, if it's in foreclosure or pre-foreclosure, we won't perform work on that project. There's just too much risk for us in terms of property going into foreclosure and we have money tied up in it. The property needs to be current on HOA dues if it's in an HOA. We will not do projects that are like expansions, so additions. I mean, we do those, but like for pre-sale projects, we're not doing additions. But I mean, we've done everything from some of the smaller stuff would come out to like pretty large gut rehabs.
What about sales price?
We lean on the agent to determine sales price.
Okay.
I mean, we'll underwrite it ourselves just to make sure they're not like, hey, you're saying $1 million, we're seeing like 600,000. What's going on here?
Right.
But we're not determining sales price. We just want to make sure that it's accurate. And we recognize too that sellers, if they're putting a bunch of money, might want to try to push it a little bit. So we kind of let agent and seller determine sales price and just basically back check it to make sure there's no issues. One requirement we do have when deferring payment is price reductions. So we require sellers to reduce the price by 2% every 30 days that a house sit on the market, and that is basically to protect us from property just sitting indefinitely on the market. Everybody's incentivized here to get the property sold.
Right. Let me ask you here's a good question. What's the first thing inspectors notice? I guess that's not a great question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a home inspector. What's the first thing home inspectors notice?
Anything that's not
an obvious. I don't know. I mean, they're pulling up to the property. They're just generally looking at the overall condition of the house. Whether it's maintained or not. I don't know. You'd have to ask a home inspector.
Right on, man. All right. Well, that's kind of all I have. Is there anything that you'd like to finish off with, close out?
No, I mean, like I said, we've done hundreds of pre-sale projects now, so I feel very confident in our abilities to assist agents and sellers in evaluating properties, determining scopes of work. That's really the biggest thing. Not the biggest thing, but that is a huge value add that we offer. It's like, we know something needs to happen to the house, but what is it? What is the scope of work? What are we actually doing? and getting into the weeds and the details on that can be quite challenging and take time, and you need somebody who's experienced and who's done it before. And I think that's an area where we really exceed and excel.
So guys, if you have a home that you're looking to sell in the DMV area and you know you're probably going to need work, I would strongly recommend that you give Josh a call and have him come out and at least give you an estimate on what he could do to help you out. But where can people learn more about Dwellbuild?
Our website, dwellbuild.com. I think reach out to me directly. I'm a very always looking to speak and meet with people, and you can find us on our website and reach me directly through our website.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for doing this with me, and thank you guys so much for watching. If you found any value in this video, please leave us a comment. If there's anything that you'd like for us to discuss, any topic, feel free to shoot me a DM. We'd love to hear from you. But thank you so much for watching, and that's all we got for today. So that's it. Cool.